And the biggest thing that was like mind blowing was the women only got paid if they won a game. The men get paid even if they lose a game. So for a tie and a loss, the men were getting paid when the women only got paid a bonus if they won. So it's really, it's laughable.
Okay, everyone out there, welcome to the Switch for Good podcast. We're so excited that you are joining us, all of you, each and every one, from the comforts, hopefully, of your own home, and you're behaving yourself in this social distancing time. I am Dotsie Bausch, and I am not joined physically, but from her own home, my co-host, my lovely, wonderful, beautiful, spiritual co-host, Alexandra Paul.
Oh, I miss you, Dotsie, but I'm glad that we can keep doing these podcasts and bringing these great guests to folks wherever they are.
I know. I feel the same. You look great. You don't have COVID-19, so you got that going for you.
No. I did have some fear that I was because I was coughing, but I don't have a fever, didn't have a fever, and I'm feeling fine. I've worked out the last 3 days, gotten up super early to hike because in LA, it's great actually. So many people out but it's bad because so many people out exercising. We're allowed to go out for walks and to the grocery store, to the doctor, but otherwise we're supposed to stay in. So, I'm feeling good. How are you, Dotsie?
Hanging tough, hanging in there. I've had some kind of wild things happen over the last couple of days, family-wise. It's just such a good reminder to just lean into love and lean into what we do have control over, and just know that each day is a brand new day, and we make decisions in that moment based on what we know, and control the controllables and leave all the rest behind, right? Because there's so much right now we don't have control over. And we have a really extraordinary athlete with us, which I would like to talk about that concept, because I feel like I kind of learned that focusing on only the things that I have control over and leave all the uncontrollables behind because of what I went through in my athletic career. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in and introduce her. We're going to talk about all sorts of different things. But we have today a friend of mine. I'm proud to call her a friend, and fellow Olympian Heather Mitts Feeley. She is not one, not two, but a 3-time Olympic gold medalist. It is only for 0.25% of the population that could even have a gold medal. She has 3, which means 12 years of being at the very top of Team USA women's soccer and world soccer. She's also a sports analyst. She's a mom of 3 young kids. She is a vegan female leader that I think everyone should look up to, and probably will after they hear her on this podcast. She's got a lot of grit and determination, and she's also kind, and she has a very supportive heart, and she has an activist heart, which I'm very grateful for. She's been with us at Switch for Good almost since the beginning. Very active in some exciting commercials that we have coming out very soon, and also just an inspiration to so many young kids. And we have a soccer program going on in Atlanta, Switch for Good does, and she came down there with us last summer. I think I hear a little one in the background. So cute.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
We're
all cruising here.
She's second. Okay, come say hi real fast, and then you need to go. Okay, mommy's talking.
Oh.
We're all rolling home now.
Say hi to Alexandra and Dotsie and to everybody out there in the podcast, and say, I'll see you guys later.
I'll see you guys later.
Oh, it's nice to meet you, sweetie pie.
Go back outside. All right, sorry. It's a little crazy right now, as we all know.
No.
We're not used to being quarantined, so.
She's adorable. It was cool to get to see her.
Thank you. And obviously, thanks for the introduction. You're so sweet to say all those things about me and to allow me to be a part of the campaign, because I think it's amazing what we did as athletes, but I think it's even more important what we're doing right now please stop, to spread the message. And sorry.
That's so funny. Don't mind the lawnmower in the background.
This is the new age of quarantining and kids being at home. So we gotta just roll with it.
They got to move their little bodies, right? They've got energy. Yeah, you were just saying how you feel like this time in our lives, post athlete and Olympian career, feel more worldly in importance, I think is where we were going with that. But I won't take the words out of your mouth.
It's the whole like Kobe 2.0, it's like, it's amazing what you did on the court or on the field or on the track. But, I think more importantly, it's like, what do you do afterwards with your platform? And that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Share with our listeners, I think what resonates the deepest for you in your heart, with exactly what you're talking about with your beautiful, big, beaming activist heart. What do you care about the most? And what do you care the most about people learning from you?
I mean, I think for me, I first became vegan by watching What the Health. And for me, it was like, it was first like a health thing for me. And then the more I learned about it, obviously, like, it's the animals and it's like the pain that they have to go through in the factory farming and just kind of everything. And I think most people, I have a dog. I look at my dog and he's part of the family. And I think if people just kind of started to see that all animals are like that, then I think they would have a different view on the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say you started the gateway for you was health. It makes sense, right? You're an athlete. And then your heart opened up. I think that's happened to a lot of people. How did that process happen? Was it slow? Did you see results after becoming vegan and then physically and then your heart opened, or why are you still vegan?
So I watched What the Health one night and I didn't have plans of going vegan before that. It just happened overnight. Like I woke up the next morning and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm vegan. Like I can't do it anymore. I can't eat those foods. And so I went through like the 2-week process of my body, like start slowly detoxing all the meat and the dairy out. And then you feel real lethargic. And I felt awful for about 2 days. And it was almost the point that I was like, maybe this isn't the right thing. And then I woke up that next day and I had this surge of energy that I've never felt before in my life and has not gone away since becoming vegan. And not only do I feel better, like physically, but, as far as a mom, like having that energy with 3 kids, I wouldn't trade anything for that. Like I need that in my life in order to survive and to be the best mom possible. And then the more I did the research and I started to follow all these vegans and just kind of like, learn about like our culture, it was hard at first. I don't think many things kept me up at night, because it's like the truth and it's stuff that we don't think about and it's stuff that is hidden from us. But the more you do your research and the more you realize it, it's sad, but you don't want to be a part of it. And you want others to be able to wake up and realize the same thing too.
Yeah.
What was it specifically about What the Health that grabbed you so that you changed?
I was actually paleo before becoming vegan, and just it made so much sense to me. He was explaining about like basically like, I know I'm not going to use the right terminology, but it was talking about your blood vessels and the fat in the arteries and things like that. And it just, for me, like it made sense. I'm like, yeah, like that's not healthy. That's not right. And the way that we as Americans, like, and probably pretty much the whole entire world, I shouldn't say just Americans, but the amount of protein we think that we need and the meat that we consume on a daily basis, and especially as someone who was doing paleo before and is very meat heavy, like that can't be good for your body. And we're all so consumed with protein and how much protein we can get, but the more research that I've done, you can get those things by cutting out the meat and the middleman and actually just going straight for the veggies. It's right there. And I'd rather get stuff that's from the earth than something else that I'm not even sure what they're consuming, when it comes down to like the antibiotics and, all the other things that you don't even really think about when you're eating meat. But that kind of actually started weirding me out even before I watched What the Health. Like, I was like, I don't know what this animal's been eating. Yeah, sure. I'm sure it's grass fed, but you really don't know.
Yeah. You had a extraordinary long career as an athlete, like we mentioned. First of all, you got into soccer when you were 6. I think we read, so little tiny. And were you immediately fantastic at it? Like, did you have a good amount of natural talent? How were those first years as a young athlete? Playing a lot of soccer, maybe traveling some. Like, what was your life like then, and what was important to you back then?
So 6 is considered like old nowadays, by the way, to get started in soccer, which is crazy. But my brother, actually, he's 18 months younger than me. He really got like very into the sport, and he was very technical. And so he and I were super competitive. And so we'd go out in the backyard and we'd have these 1v1 battles every single day. And he was very good with the ball, which meant that I was always trying to get away from him. Hence, I ended up becoming a defender. Because of him, we would always like basically end up in like these fights. So I also owe my toughness to him, but I just loved it. I loved soccer from day one. It was always something I could improve on. My mom was really good at tennis. My dad was very good at basketball. They wanted us both to play those sports respectively, which I did. And I excelled and I liked both of them. But soccer was just kind of like my own thing. I loved it. I remember my mom told me after my freshman year, she's like, you're going to have to pick one sport because it's just too chaotic with your brother and your sister. My sister is 6 years younger than me. I can't be doing it all. And so I said, I want to play soccer. And she said, soccer? She said, you can't play soccer when you're older. And I said, that's okay, because I love it. And I think it ultimately just comes down to like anything in life. If you love something, if you're passionate about it, you're going to have success.
Mm-hmm. But you could play when you were older, very, very successfully.
Could. And I don't now, but
Right.
Yeah. I mean, look at Carly Lloyd. She's 38 years old, still playing on the U.S. Women's National Team and killing it. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and you played for. I think that it's a long career, no matter what sport you're in, to be able to make it to 3 Olympic Games. What was it? What were the differences like between the 3? Like, people want to know, how did it feel walking either in the opening ceremonies or onto the Olympic field those 3 different times for that first time, each time in the different cities? What were the differences that you felt from like that first team that you made to the second and the third?
Yeah, they were also different for me. Honestly, I didn't think in a million years that I would make the team in 2004 and much less be standing on a podium winning a gold medal. So it was just all kind of like so surreal. And then I ended up tearing my ACL in 2007, which is a year before the Olympics. And I thought my career was maybe going to possibly be over. But I ended up being able to come back and basically play my best soccer of my life. And so for standing up on the podium for that one was like, it was pretty cool because I had overcome such great adversity to get there. And I just realized how much I loved the sport and what I was willing to do to get back out there and to play. And then 2012, I had a lot of injuries towards the end of my career. And I just, to be able to go to one last Olympics and to, end your career kind of by winning your final gold is just, there's no better way to be able to walk away from the game. So they were all very different.
Do you have, I remember we met right after 2012 at a Universal Sports event, I think. I remember it very well, meeting you because I was a fangirl. And so during all those injuries, you were, I guess, either paleo or just not vegan.
Right.
So do you have any feelings or anything that you could share with the audience kind of about injuries and inflammation and kind of what you saw during that period of time and how many injuries that you underwent and then your body now, because you're you're like in a kid Olympics right now. There's 3 tiny ones in your house and it feels so, and you are, very, very, very healthy now. And so how your body feels differently, especially in relation to inflammation and injury and recovery.
Yeah, I mean, it's so nuts. I'm actually like so jealous of the fact that you were able to experience what it was like and reap the benefits in your last Olympics. Like, I'm like, gosh, I wish I would have known about this sooner and tried it, because I would have loved to have seen if it would have made a difference for me. Because the injuries were really hard. And I do honestly believe that if I wouldn't have been consuming all the dairy, especially, like, I would have probably recovered quicker. And the older you get, the harder it is. And I still train 6 days out of the week. I do CrossFit. I run. I don't ever get sore. I feel amazing, and it's crazy. And I just wish that I could have tried this when I was playing to really see the difference.
I was wondering if there are some old teammates or some women on the team now who are plant-based, who are feeling like that is a part of their longevity.
So I know of 2 girls right now. Alex Morgan, she's actually pregnant with her first child. So she's not currently with the team, but she has been for, I want to say, like, maybe a year and a half. And she and I have talked about it. And she's really, she noticed a huge difference when she decided to cut out the meat and the dairy in her play. I mean, she played like out of her mind in the last World Cup, and she was vegan. And then Kelly O'Hara is someone that Alex and her are very good friends. I still keep in touch with her from when we played. We were very close. And I used to give her a little bit of a hard time when she would still use milk in her, like, her cappuccinos and stuff. Like, just trying to, like, you should really try the non-dairy. It's really good. And she would kind of give me a hard time back. But now she is using her platform now to, spread the message a little bit. She's done some stuff with Charity Morgan, sharing some recipes, some vegan recipes. So I think it's exciting and it's great. And they are both just like two of the better players. They're all amazing. Let's be honest, but they're, I think that they're really reaping the benefits of the new diet.
So what is the relationship between nutrition and the coaching that's done at the level at which you were? Is it considered important? Is it based on protein, or is it do they talk about the importance of having a lot of fresh, whole, natural plant foods?
No, it might be different now, but our old, trainer, she was with the team for probably I would say 10 years maybe, but she was British. And I feel like, their diet's a little bit different. And I feel like we would have usually deli meats and stuff like that at lunch. We'd have a salad. I think it was very basic. It'd be chicken, pasta, just very bland, boring foods. I think it's different now because the players have been able to voice that they need more options. And I think that's a good thing. I feel like I'm pretty simple. I could adapt. If I know it's good for me, a lot of times I would eat it, even if it was bland food. But I think it's nice when you have more variety and you have more fruits and you have more vegetables and you have smoothies and like nuts and all those things that are going to help you to nourish your body and give you energy so that you can have success also.
I want to just move into equality a little bit in sport, because I know the fact that we have you on, a soccer player, that might be on the forefront of people's minds. I know for cycling, we're in pretty much the most male-dominated sport that there is, and it's a lot of the men start cycling at really, really young ages, 5, 6, 7, 8, and women don't tend to come into the sport till later, maybe high school or even college. So many of the women in cycling have a degree under their belts once they're racing professionally. So when retirement comes, most of the women go out of the sport and kind of pursue their passion or what they studied, whereas the men, they gave up their education to race professionally. And so most of them end up coming right back into the sport as directors, right? Or mechanics or team managers. Mm-hmm. And so that just sort of perpetuates that whole male dominance. Men are running everything, right? That whole cycle. So we've fought for years, not only for equal pay, which is still not there, but just equal races. Like they literally had the UCI, so our governing body, they literally had rules around how far we could ride. It was 60 or 80K less than the men. Like what? And this is like my year. Exactly. I mean, the joke around the Peloton with the women is, what do you think we're going to have, like our period on our saddles? And if we do, it's fine. And what? I mean, it's insane. It still is. It's complete. No equality. I mean, it's not a women's Tour de France. I mean, it's yeah. So I'll stop there because I'll go on for the next 45 minutes. What is it like in soccer? What's the differences between when you were playing to now? What the women have really, from the outside perspective, really pushed the sport forward in terms of equal pay and women's rights inside of the soccer walls. What are your thoughts? Take us back to when you were competing and what it's like now.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it first started, obviously I was a part of the genre of the women who kind of paved the way. And back then, they literally were playing for pennies. They were playing for the love of the game, and they would do everything to try to just grow the sport. And I think, obviously, like they were getting a salary back then, and they were getting a lot of bonuses and like shoe sponsorships and things like that, but it wasn't coming from U.S. soccer. So they were still able to play, and that could be their sole job, but they were getting the majority of their money from outside sponsorship. Now they ask a lot more of us. So they ask for us to play with the U.S. women's national team. You're pretty much playing, like I would say, like 10 months out of the year, 10, 11 months out of the year. But in addition to that, you're playing in the league. So you really don't have time to get another job, which I don't think many of the U.S. women's national team players would have to. But it's a lot of time, and it's a lot more time than our counterparts. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest difference that was infuriating to us was little things like the travel. Like the men would take charter flights. We would literally fly commercial. We'd be sitting in middle seats in 16-hour flights over to China. And it was tough. I mean, it's hard. You're asking a lot when you show up there and you're supposed to practice and you're supposed to play in a tournament. You're sitting in a middle seat for 16 hours compared to the men that are flying charter. It makes a big difference. It's a lot of wear and tear on your body. And then hotels, things like that, like in food. I think it really does come down to the food. Like we got far lesser options. They had like a chef. I told you guys kind of what we got presented to us. It was nothing, fancy by any means. It was fine because we're low maintenance, but I think it always would have been nice to have more. I think it would have been better from us from an athletic standpoint to be able to have more options. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we get paid far less per game. And the biggest thing that was like mind blowing was the women only got paid if they won a game. The men get paid even if they lose a game. So for a tie and a loss, the men were getting paid when the women only got paid a bonus if they won. So it's really, it's laughable. And so now they want equal pay to the men. And I think they're going to get it. I mean, I really do think that they deserve it, and I think they're going to get it. And U.S. soccer just needs to man up. You mentioned the cycle, about the men that they go back into the sport, and U.S. soccer is very much the same way. It's very much like an old men's club. It's predominantly male, and I'm happy to see they're now getting some more females in there. And I think it's important. There are ex-players that have played on the women's national team. The president just stepped down, and even though she didn't want the job, Cindy Parlow-Cone, who was an ex-player, she was the VP. She's now the president of U.S. Soccer. And I just hope that maybe, even though she doesn't want it, I hope that this will maybe be something that will help the women moving forward. But regardless, I think they just need to get equal pay no matter what.
Yeah, and yet when you look at the statistics from even just your 12 years, you guys won 3 back-to-back gold medals. The men didn't do that.
And you know what? I don't even think that they care as much about the Olympics. They care more about the World Cup.
Well,
and that used to be, I know, they
didn't win it. That's why they didn't care about it. If they did better, they might have cared. They probably would have cared about it more. That's so typical.
Exactly.
Okay, sorry, we interrupted you. The World Cup, but y'all have done really well in the World Cup too.
Yes. So, that was kind of the thing is the women hadn't won a World Cup since 1999 up until the last 2. So it was kind of like they had that argument, like you haven't won a World Cup since 99. Okay, so we don't have to pay you, but hello, we've been able to win back to back now. So now it's like you have no argument against these women. They just need to do what's right.
Yeah.
But wait, when was the last time the U.S. men won the World Cup?
The furthest the men had been in the World Cup was like back in 1930. I think they came in 3rd place. They're still hanging their hat on that, you guys. I'm not kidding.
I can't even conceptualize what you're just saying. 99 and 1930. Like there's a few years in there, people. What in the world?
It's nuts.
Oi. Okay.
Let's give you a little history lesson while we're at it.
Yeah, thank you. And you have, your husband was a NFL player for 10 years. I know ended his career with the Eagles. Was he with the Eagles for the whole career? No,
like off and on, back and forth. Yeah, a couple years, maybe like 7 years of that.
Okay, and there's the first like woman coach in the NFL, right, for the 49ers. Now.
Oh, well, I think there's actually, I think there's more than one.
So maybe there's 2.
Yeah, there's a couple, which is awesome. I mean, you're seeing in every sport now, they have women coaches coming up. And I think it's so cool to see. It's so empowering. And I think for little girls, like the dream is coming true. Like it's just happening everywhere.
Yeah, I know. How did you and your husband meet?
So he was playing for the Eagles, and I was playing for the Philadelphia Charge, and our roommates were actually dating. Oh. And so he came over one night. I didn't even know who he was. She had gone across the street, and I had no intentions of coming downstairs and hanging out. I didn't have any makeup on or anything. I was getting ready to go to bed. And so she had gone across the street. The doorbell rang. I went downstairs. I answered it. I saw her boyfriend and then AJ, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is really cute. So I was like, she'll be right back. Come on inside. And then I was like, went upstairs. I put on a little mascara, and I came back down, and that was kind of it. The next night we went out, we went dancing, and it's been 18 years now.
Wow.
Oh
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it goes by.
18 years.
Alexandra's even longer than that. It goes by fast. I'm on 15, and it's just like a blink.
It really does. It's nuts how fast it goes.
Yeah.
So tell us about, let's go back to your plant-based diet as an athlete. You made the change. I'm interested that you made the change pretty much overnight and that you started feeling better. A lot of folks, and I'm one of them, they make the switch, but they don't make the switch in a healthy way because it's a challenge. It sounds like you might have been healthier. Can you talk about what your switch looked like? And so just to inspire people so they have a guidance on maybe how to go.
I've always really kind of considered myself a little bit more mindful of what I put in my body. And my mom was a personal trainer. My dad was a doctor. Like, I just have always really been very interested in health, and longevity. So when I made the switch, I was like, oh, this is going to be simple. I already eat really healthy. I eat a lot of fruits and I eat a lot of veggies already. But I didn't realize how much dairy, obviously, and was in everything. And then, if I was paleo, I was eating a lot of meat. But I actually got really weird about meat before that anyway. I don't know. I just kind of, it was an easy switch because I was already becoming so like mindful about like what's really in that meat. But as far as the things that I was just trying to eat, it was just more of like a whole foods, plant-based, a lot of fruits, a lot of veggies. I guess the biggest change would have been that I went like breakfast. Breakfast is probably one of the hardest things for me because I was eating 2 eggs every single day, and toast. And so I was like, now, well, what do I eat now? So I usually mix it up between oatmeal, steel-cut oats with a lot of like fruits and seeds in the morning, and then or like a sweet potato, or I'll do like an acai bowl or a blue mermaid bowl, just to kind of mix it up. So I have a little bit of varieties. I've even done like veggies in the morning now, which at first I was like, this is so weird, but I'm like, I love veggies. I really do. And I think, because I love fruit and vegetables so much, it kind of has been very easy for me. I eat a lot of like Buddha bowls. I do a lot of bowls and probably not as many salads as you would think. I think most people think vegans only eat salads. I feel like I should almost eat like more. And then at night, I'm usually like trying to make stuff that my kids will also eat. So that's always kind of like the challenge. I feel like I probably eat a little bit more pasta than I would like, but I don't do just like regular pasta. I usually do like the spinach pasta that has a little bit more protein in it, and just trying to like mix it up and do fresh new things whenever possible, and really kind of figure out what my kids like also, so that I can make sure that they're getting stuff that they are going to appreciate and like and get used to eating, so then it becomes like a way of life. My mom used to have us eat real healthy when I was growing up. And so even when I went to college, I was the person that was eating at home, like vegetables every single night, like a lot of whole foods and vegetables more than anything.
Yeah. And so now you have your 3 children. And what ages are they?
So my youngest is a little older than a year and a half. My daughter just turned 4 yesterday, and my son is 6.
Okay, so they're still tinies, like really all of them. Yeah. And I don't think your husband's vegan, so you guys are have to balance that with the kids. Or are they leaning more towards veganism, or is it like you do the cooking, so that's what they're going to get? What are their favorite foods that are plant-based that you feed them? I mean,
pasta is really easy. They do like, I just got an air fryer. Oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever. So I do a lot of like tofu and sweet potato fries, and I pretty much try to throw everything in there because it's easy. It's fast, it's easy, it's like crispy. And I think they like things like that, but they like pastas. They like salad. They love salad. It's like awesome. The best. As long as you put like a like a ton of vegan ranch on there. They will eat a salad. They will eat a salad every night. So I'm like, this is amazing. So yes, I cook during the week, and I try to make sure it is healthy and it's good and it tastes good and it's the best thing for the body. And then on the weekends, sometimes like when we go out, like, you know, if we go to birthday parties and things like that, I try not to be the crazy mom. I want them to learn about why I make my choices, but I also want them to be able to make their own choices.
Yeah.
So you, because you cook, they eat vegan, but they're not being raised vegan.
Well, I mean, it's hard because my husband is not. And so I feel like I'm cooking for them. I'm trying to provide things for them right now that are good and healthy and that they will enjoy. I'm very honest with them as to like why I don't eat meat and dairy and why I am a vegan. I want them to understand that so that they can apply that to their decision when they get old enough. If they decide that they don't want to live this lifestyle, I want it to be because they know like all the education there is to making their own decisions. I do want to make sure that they're doing what's best for them.
Yeah.
You sound like a good mom. Yeah. My husband is also, he's almost vegan now after watching Nazi and Game Changers. That really made a big difference.
That was awesome.
Forks Over Knives opened his eyes to the health aspects, but the performance aspects, which the Game Changers focused on, I saw because I don't push him on it, but really has changed him. Dotsie, he's eaten maybe 3 little animal things in the last 3 months. I mean, hardly anything. It's amazing. But
so cool.
Going back to you, so I live also in a mixed household generally, and but in the beginning, I would buy, if I went to the store and he said, I'd say, well, can I get you anything? He would say, grab some milk. Actually, he didn't do milk, but let's say he might say, I think I would even buy chicken or eggs in the beginning. And then I slowly began to change myself. Mostly it started repulsing me more. It was so interesting how I became less tolerant of it. And then we made different boundaries where I said, you know what, sweetheart, I just don't feel right buying it. And he was fine. He said, okay, and he buys himself, and that's and then I certainly didn't feel right cooking it, but I'm a terrible cook anyway. So how do you balance it in your household?
Yes, I don't buy it and I don't cook it. So I pretty much do the cooking. I've always told him that if he wants to cook, like by all means, like he can. He does like to make like spaghetti like once a week. So he goes ahead and he gets all that stuff at the store himself and he does it himself. Cause I can't, it's just like, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I love you, but I can't anymore. And it really does, like, as you said, it like makes me like sick. Like, I don't know. I just think completely different about all of it. And he respects that, thankfully. He did watch Cowspiracy, and he was actually on board for a little bit with me. And that was awesome because it was like smooth sailing. Like, we're all on the same page. This is amazing. And then he has a buddy that, I guess he was, I don't know if he was vegan, but I think he was vegetarian. And he said that it really affected his performance. And, I think there's all different forms of, vegans and vegetarians. And like, some people are healthier than others. So it's hard to compare diets. Like, if it didn't work for one person doesn't mean it's not going to work for another person, because one person might be very much more mindful about like what is actually healthy and what you're putting in your body. But regardless, I respect his decision, as hard as it is. And hopefully, we can just find that middle ground to make it work for our family.
There was a really fun story that I'd love for you to tell, that when we were in Atlanta last summer, and you were just such a superstar. Like, you came and you were still breastfeeding. And so you brought your pump with you, right? And it was like, I don't know, 130 degrees and like 90% humidity that day. And so you would pop up to the coach's room in the air conditioning and do your pumping. And then I think the last time you pumped, you came down, you're like, oh, I think I have mastitis. And I was just like, oh my God, what do we do? And you're like, no, it's kind of normal. It's okay. It's like, I just don't feel that great. And so you flew home that night, and you ended up, whether it was, I don't remember if it was that night or the next day in the emergency room, because you had a fever and you had mastitis and you wanted to make sure that that's what you had. And so you went, and that, yes, the doctor came in, they took, they did all the stuff, they did blood work and everything. And he came in and said, yes, you have mastitis and you'll be fine. And tell me the story, what he asked the doctor. Or tell our listeners the story.
Because when I was in there, he took my blood, and I said, my husband thinks that probably the reason why I'm in here right now in the ER is because I'm vegan, and he thinks I'm nutrient deficient. And so when the doctor came back in with my results, he said, oh, and by the way, he's like, whatever you're doing with your diet, keep it up. You're one of the healthiest people I've seen in here in a long time. And I was just like, that's amazing. Like, that was like the best news, because I always question also, like, I know I feel amazing, but it's not like we get tested all the time to be able to get that blood work and to get that feedback. And so it was just nice to be able to get that reassurance. And, after watching Game Changers and just like realizing, that information is out there and really what it does do to your blood and what it does to your body. Like, it is so cool. And I mean, Dotsie, I'm so excited to like be able to tell this to you, like kind of in person over Skype. But like, seriously, when I watched that and saw your little segment, I was crying. I was literally crying because I was just like so like proud of you. And I thought it was so cool. And I'm just like, that is so like badass of her to be able to go over there and do this and still have the success, and then to be able to share that story and like inspire so many people. I just think it's the coolest.
That's very sweet of you to say. It was just, same as yours. It just happened when it happened, It's just like the lights went on, and then I saw the world differently, and okay, here we go. Right. It's like, how am I going to make this work? But you just do, right? Cause it's like, so, it's just so woven into your spirit so quickly.
Yeah. It's who you are now. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you say to, you were speaking earlier about how young these young athletes are starting soccer, and that 6 is old when you started soccer. So I'm guessing they're starting, 2 or 3 or something. What do you say to the parent, like whose child wants to become a pro athlete or pro soccer player? What advice do you give them?
To keep it fun and to support them. I think not only support them with allowing them to maybe like seek out the best teachers, but I think it's also just to like be positive about the journey. I was already very hard on myself. I was very driven, and when I'd walk off the field, I never felt like good about my performance. I always would like pick out the things that I needed to be better at. And it was up to my parents then to realize, like, she's already so hard on herself and she's already so driven. All we need to do is be like, you know what, Heather, I thought you played great. And I'm sure you can play better next game, and just be there to be like that positive reinforcement and to help you to live out your dreams. I think that's all that really comes down to it. The parents that I could not stand, and to this day I still remember, and I feel so bad for the girls that I was playing with, were the ones that would stand there on the sideline and constantly be yelling, not only at their child, but also at the coaches and the other parents. Like, it's embarrassing. And so I make sure now that my son is playing soccer that I zip it. I don't say a thing. And before his very first game, he was so excited. And I thought that was just like, that right there is what it's all about. And I said, Connor, I don't care if you go out there and you don't play great or you do have the best game. I'm like, it doesn't matter. none of those things matter. What matters is that you go out there and not only do you give it your all, but that you have fun doing it. And if you do that, then mommy's going to be proud. I mean, that's what it's all about.
I hope some of the parents learning from you. I mean, do they know who they're sitting next to, first of all? And I hope they heed that advice.
They don't.
No clue.
And they have no idea. And it's amazing. I love flying under the radar. And, it's kind of, it's like being a fly on the wall. And like kind of, my son is 6 and he's starting late into the game. And that's okay. It's just like, I wanted to do it when he's ready. I don't want to force him to do something that he doesn't want to do, because then he's not going to want to do it, And so I waited for him to like, be like, yeah, mom, I want to play soccer. And he's excited and he has so much fun. And I just love watching him play, no matter what it is. Like, as long as they're out there having fun, that's all that matters.
Well, if you don't, I want to make you a T-shirt though that says like 3-time Olympic gold soccer player. So but you won't wear it.
Your anonymity is not going to last long, I'm sure. So enjoy it now, because word will get out, and then the whole mom, dad, soccer community is going to know.
Yeah, they'll be asking me questions. And I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know. I don't have answers for you guys. I'm just here to watch my son.
Do the parents, are they aware of what you're feeding your kiddos? Like, does that overlap at all? Do they ask any questions? Are they inquisitive about what you're feeding your kids?
Well, I feel like all my close friends know. And, I guess it kind of has like, I think they stress out about it a little bit when we go to like birthdays or we go to their houses and stuff like that. And at first I was very, very strict. So I was really trying to like avoid it, like no matter what. And then I decided that I'm like, I can't be like uber crazy about it. It's making everybody uncomfortable, and it's, applying a little bit of a strain on my kids, because, they're going to birthday parties and like, why can't I have cheese on my pizza? Or why can't I have this cake? It's like, I don't know. So it's like that fine line between, I'm going to educate them, I'm going to feed them the best foods that I can possible when they're in my house. And then I'm just going to control the controllables. I don't want to be like crazy mom. I want them to enjoy this, and I want them to like be able to reap the benefits and see that this has always worked for me as a kid. And, I want to continue to do this when I'm out of the house, when I'm living on my own. And, this is important to mom. So hopefully all those things like will all pan out.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us about some of your activism, like outside of, your kids and what you're doing there, in shaping their futures and molding the next activists in the world. We're so grateful to have you on board Switch for Good, but you're doing other things too. So tell us a bit about your activism and your work outside of the home.
So I guess, obviously the earth and the environment is just, it's such a huge part of my life and who I am. I'm an environmentalist. I just want to do everything possible every single day to do my part in this world. And I'm definitely like, my kids see it, they understand it. They're trying to help me. When we're go out to parks or we go somewhere, if they see trash on the ground, they're like, Mom, trash, we got to pick it up and put it where it belongs. And we got to recycle. And, I can't believe people are, leaving trash in the park. This is so wrong, so, and I hear my kids repeating things to their friends, and it's like, I get the biggest kick out of it. 'Cause I'm like, they really are listening, like they are paying attention. Yeah. So obviously the environment's important. Here locally, I've been able to help one of my dear friends that owns a shelter, animal shelter. She actually is trying to get a bill passed. It's called Victoria's Law, that I guess bans all puppy mills, and also disallows the selling of puppy mill dogs to pet stores.
In Philadelphia or Pennsylvania?
In Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I actually went with her to the Capitol to try to help her get that passed. And I've actually been trying to get other athletes to get more involved and to hold the sign and, just to help her, because it's a tough process. I mean, I never realized when I was actually in there in the Capitol how many laws on every single day that they're trying to get passed. And half the time the other constituents aren't even listening to what's being presented up there. It's really kind of infuriating to step away from that. But I'm still obviously positive and mindful and hopeful that things like that will get passed because they're important. Animals, I have a very dear place in my heart for them. And, I feel like more and more people are reaching out to me now to be a part of the advocacy. And if I can help, I will.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being such an advocate for the voiceless, and also just such a force for good in every step you're taking in your life. I'm very glad that I got to meet you in 2012, and now we're forming this friendship and being activists alongside each other. So thanks for that, and thanks for being with us today. It was awesome to talk to you.
Me too. I think everything happens for a reason, and I think us meeting back in 2012 was for a purpose. And I'm so excited to be aligned with you, to be helping you in this fight. And I think you guys are complete rock stars and everything that you do. It was awesome to finally meet you via Skype, Alexandra. Thank you so much for your kindness, for your advocacy, and everything that you guys do.
So thank you so much for tuning in today. If we helped you in any way, then click the subscribe button and let's keep hanging out together. We have so much more to share with you.
And if you need more information on actually making the switch for good, please visit us at switchforgood.org for loads of info. And you can subscribe to our mailing list where you will receive all sorts of super cool gifts, discount codes to our very fave dairy-free products, and a lifetime of powerful health tips.
So join us on the journey to switch for good. This is the future.